Hello and welcome to episode 17 of our Timberborn 1.1 playthrough with the Iron Teeth here in hard mode on the Timberpunk 2 map. It is cycle 14, day 15. Got about a little bit less than 12 and a half days left in our current bad tide. And as I always say, there's so much to do, so much to see, back streets, etc. But we are still in a pretty good spot, all things considered. We've improved some of the area around here regarding irrigation, and I do know several of you have ideas regarding that I would like to address if we have the ability to do so. Obviously increasing our planting area over here, and maybe even putting some more irrigation in this area. We're gonna see what makes sense. But there are still a number of things we really should go ahead and address, chiefly being how we're managing this area up here in Automatown. And I did say very early on that I wanted to prioritize getting these thorns removed, which, you know, there are some areas that are still set up with that, but obviously they can't reach these. But over here, this whole thing has not really been managed necessarily the best way that I should be doing it. So that is going to be something we're going to take care of at some point pretty soon. But I wanted to call attention over here to... Oh, it's too dark for me to see. Let's get this on triple speed. There is a spot that will become a big problem as soon as this thing goes off. But it's currently dormant. When it does go off, this area here is going to become, like I said, a rather large issue. So why don't we prioritize getting ahead of that by marking all of these for removal? In fact, I'm just going to take this 5x5, actually 6x6, math is hard. This space just by itself, complete removal. And then what we can do is we can sparingly use overhangs. We'll talk about metal in a little bit. But we can sparingly use overhangs to kind of get this closed in. We can have the impermeable floors basically just contain all of the bad water that would well up out of here without it causing absolute devastation over here. Of course, we do have to get over here, and that is one of those things that, well, I don't have to say it, you already know. So we'll be messing with that as time permits, but I do think we should be a little bit more judicious with our use of the bot labor, as it were. So, what does that mean for this area? Well, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 of these already connected. We don't really have to do anything else here unless we want to build around it. This is currently working as intended. Everything, as you can see, come on, everything is connected. So we have all of this over here. I think it's probably going to be easiest just to clear cut all of it, not necessarily prioritize the bots really harvesting these birch trees for wood, although we can, and I do think I will mark them for cutting, but I'm not going to go out of my way to ensure that they actually cut versus just remove them. So, just so that's taken care of in a decent manner, we'll just make sure this is all set up. So if... Oh, I clicked on the wrong square. So if this is a possible thing for the bots to get into, they have the option, but I'm not going to... Come on, I click on the wrong spot every time. But I do want to get them in here to take... Why is it always dark when I'm doing this? And that is going to require that all of these thorns be cleared. So you kind of can't do both at the same time, and probably no matter what I do, it's going to be wrong. So just please bear with me on this. I have the platforms being reconstructed so that the path goes over the top of them, which probably is the better way to do it. It takes so much more time, and I never want to do that takes a whole lot more time because I just want to get it done. So it's fine to disagree on how I do this stuff. That is always allowed, and I do always tell you that. I'm not going to tell you can't do that, but I do the things that I do for a reason, even if the reason is bad, objectively or subjectively. So just keep that in mind. We need more chargers. I can't remember if I said that or not, but we do have 11 bots up here, and to my knowledge, there's only a handful of chargers available. Yeah, I did not think this was going to get that dry that quickly, but I did say something about getting this an irrigation dump, fluid dump, whatever that's called now. We can also, kind of, depending on how we want to do this, turn this into another irrigation thing right here. Because remember, we have bad water just completely plugged up in this area. It may be to our benefit at some point to unlock terrain blocks and use some of the dirt that we have to fill this area in a little bit. I'm not going to say it's a huge priority, to be perfectly honest with you. But we need to have some sort of tree farming going on, and that's what this is doing. Even if it's not necessarily the best use of bot labor, I will give you that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to manually pause this forester. This is already deprioritized as a pump. That is fine. That is 100% by design. But this one has not had a whole lot of success getting these trees cut down in a timely fashion. I would imagine it's probably because this bot is being charged. That makes sense. So anyway, again, just please know that I am trying to juggle a billion different things at once, and it's not always going to be perfect because I can't pause and edit videos and so on and so forth. You know how it goes. We have way back in here. Come on, let me click on this. A depth sensor that automates these pumps to turn off when there is no more water to pump, and that's all well and good. But I was informed that maybe it would make sense to have another depth sensor in this area that automatically turns the drills off when the area is full. And I think that is a smart and simple thing for us to go ahead and put in. I just have to decide where it's going to go that isn't going to end up being a regret later. These can go underwater, but remember that they can only measure beneath them. So if I want it to measure the entire depth of this whole pool, it has to be above something. So if I find a location that isn't complete garbage where I can stick this, then that might be a smart idea. I'm thinking the easiest way to do this would be to put in another platform right here, and then the reason being because there's a power shaft there, and then put the depth sensor facing down from here, and then we want this to activate, as in enable these pumps when the level is less than, we'll say 1.95, just because I can't really put 1.99 in. 2.0 is the what the heck, we'll say 2.00. Anyway, I want this to turn on when this level is below 2.00. We're going to name this Aquifer Pump Enable. And I even spelled it right. Good job. So, automate, and automate. And then we can also, because remember, we have this connected, and I know some of you have thoughts on how this is set up. We may or may not address those. This here can also be automated to the same thing. Just remember that this can fill this up on its own, maybe a lot slower. We need to get this turned on. Thank you for reminding me about that. But these two will only fill this up if this is deeper than 1, because that is how the fill valve is set up. A lot of you have said, I need to redo this, change how this is set up. Honestly, I know, but I can't really figure out how to do it during a video without it being a huge waste of everybody's time, and this currently works, so I think that is going to be the best way. Not a perfect or great way, but the best way with my limited ability to, process things and get everything relatively seamlessly done in a single video. I'm not going to mess with it. It's going to be okay. We'll make it a little easier by kind of shrinking this area a bit so it ends up going in here, and then I do want to get this sectioned off with a dam, not like a flow valve or whatever, but just to kind of contain this a bit. It's not a huge, crazy priority, though. Man, we just spent so much time in this video in the dark, and it makes me so irritated. We did... I'm sorry. We have... you just have so much stuff to do, and I really want to make sure we get to it. Because I know it irritates the heck out of you guys when I don't get to stuff. We needed to mark those for cutting. I don't think there were any other areas that I haven't. These are being kept on purpose, in case you somehow were not aware of that. So that's fine. These are still pine trees that I meant to replant as oaks, so we'll get those. These berry bushes are drying out, but oh yeah, those are going to go bad. I know I've got dirt. It's just not accessible. And I need to get this fixed a little bit, because like this is it's honestly not a very good setup here, and I don't want to put levees in because the levees can't irrigate. I want dirt. Yeah, so, oh yeah, and I know there's some of you that really want this to be dumped in, but that's going to evaporate so much water. what to do. I guess I just have to dump water in here, but I don't really have a good way to get into it because of how this has been set up. And I would have to, without modifying this too much, I would have to have that. Alright, you know what? Here's what we're going to do. Tapper Shack is going to go away temporarily. Okay, boom that. And what I'm going to do here is, at some point I'll have to, you know, improve this a little bit, but I think it's going to make the most... Oh, look at that immediately, What? How did that immediately solve that problem? That doesn't make any sense. Is that just a splashing... Okay, whatever. Whatever, I need to, you know, not think about that or I'm going to lose my mind. This... Oh, boy. How do you have any mind left? You always talk about you're losing your mind. Look, it's going to be alright. I say it for my benefit as much as yours. I'm just going to... That's not the right one. I'm going to put this Tapper Shack, say, here. Yeah, it's just a... kind of not great setup. So I'm gonna have to do this the right way, one way or another. That is, yeah, the way this is set up. Just gonna have to put that there. All right, discharge. That's what it's called. Why do they keep changing the names of these things? Anyway, that goes there. That's going to probably benefit from having either a tank for water, which I don't think is that big of an issue, or alternatively, a small warehouse for pine resin, which we know is a little bit of a problem storage-wise. This will actually allow us to put in additional pine trees for resin purposes, which is always good. So I'll let those just kind of grow in there naturally. And we'll get to the rest of it in due time. I know I keep saying that, and it at some point probably loses a little bit of meaning, but we will, in fact, get there in due time. We just have to trust the process. And that's another phrase people are sick of hearing, I'm sure. Should be making... Why is that making chassis? I don't need that many chassis. I need the limbs. No. We got to get this rolling so we can replace our bots. I've got enough chassis to make 8. Enough heads to make 4, and enough limbs to make not even a single one. So that is an improvement we'll have to get to. This is really going to help here. To keep this irrigated. Probably not a terrible idea to do a similar thing over here. But to discuss something that was brought up in a comment that I do like, but also kind of don't think makes sense for us to do at this exact time. This area that is now bad water clean, basically forever unless something horrible happens. You know, we could put water in here. But that's going to increase evaporation, and I don't really think I want to do that. So instead, what might make sense to do is treat this as an overflow. Since we have all this coming in here, if I replace one of these levees, probably this one in the middle, with a floodgate set to 0.95 or whatever, when this gets high enough, then this will flow into here, but not before. And since this is set to automate, well, once this is finished, to shut off at 2.0, this will basically mean that these will always run until this is full, this is full, this is full, this is full, and also this. So if we want this to be a thing that contains extra water, we can. I don't know that it's really, strictly speaking, necessary, but there's also not really any reason not to do it. This, just to show you, isn't really going to be a problem to get set up. I don't think it's a bad thing, and it is cheap enough to get one of these floodgates put in just to have a little bit of extra water. If these are already full on, say, day 3 or day 4 of a temperate cycle and we know we're going to get to 8, why not keep it pumping so we have extra water? So I don't see any harm in doing that, so I'm just going to go ahead and get this unlocked. And did that go in a stupid location? Actually, not really. We'll just permanently leave this at 0.95, so this doesn't immediately flood everything over here and can send a little bit there. Just remember, there's a lot of stuff that has to get filled up first for that to go off, but, you know, I'll throw you guys a bone. We'll check and see if that is going to work. All right, back upstairs. A couple people mentioned these relics that can be demolished for free science, and you know what? Free 99 is a very appealing price for that, so we're going to get that set up. Now, these guys are continuing working here. Remember that I am trying to get this power hooked up this way, and I was hoping to avoid too much of a complication with that. But as you know, it does in fact just take time. We have a district crossing here, And currently I have it set to import whatever it needs, but I don't think this district has a storage for metal. So we will need to give it one. We'll just put a small pile right here. Get that set to metal blocks. And these guys are really running out of juice. So putting, like I said earlier, putting in extra powers, wow, there you go. That's definitely what that's called. Charging stations would be a smart idea. Got one there. I actually should probably just go over here. Is that under well-being for bots? It is. We got that one. We got that one. And then this one under construction over here. That honestly is kind of far away for that to really even be remotely useful. So we'll see. I mean, honestly, the way this is set up now, this isn't a horrible distribution. And 11 is... I mean, with how often the bots have to be charged, this isn't really that big of a deal. Like, I do recognize we need to improve that, but right now I don't really have a lot of good places for that to really go. Well, at any rate, I do need to get these guys going. And somehow it's always dark while I'm doing this. Really need to get these guys over here. That is kind of waiting on this, and that's, of course, waiting on more planks. Waiting. Everything's about waiting. That is kind of a microcosm of life. We have 139 planks in this district. Why are we having such a hard time? Well, I can probably guess that it has something to do with the fact that there's no real storage being utilized here. So let's put planks and logs set to obtain. I do have a hauling post. I have one bot in there. I'm going to increase that to 2. Remember that this is on a declining balance basis with the amount of bots that we have, so that'll be fine. Get these filled up. That will help construction over here quite a bit. Once this is finished, we can start the process of getting these guys down here. Remember that I've got all of these trees set for cutting. But what's going to end up happening most likely is that the thorn removal is going to take precedence. So I have to be very careful that I don't accidentally delete these. It shouldn't do that with resource demolition. But I do need to just... I also need to make sure I'm not getting any natural overhangs with this. So I guess we're going to have to just wait and see how that is set up. Very, very delicate process. And also, like, kind of why I usually don't like to do this way, because it's so easy to make mistakes. And if you've watched my videos long enough, you know I don't need any help whatsoever with doing that. Like, we have these overhangs here. I do not want to get rid of those, and I do want to prioritize this in being removed. So what we're going to end up doing here in a little bit is deprioritizing these guys, but I really want to make sure this doesn't have highest priority, but it does have a priority. Cannot get rid of these reserve piles. I mean, like, I know this is, like, on a fundamental level, I know this is something I need to do. And also, not get rid of these guys, yeah. Yeah, going willy-nilly with this is, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. Unless you are just an absolute unbelievable genius at this, which I have said time and time again that I am most certainly not. But we will do our best. I always try to do what I can to make these videos interesting for you guys. Since these are already prioritized, I don't know if that's going to override it, so we're going to have to check back here in a second. I know it's not the most exciting thing to watch me just sit here and do this, but it is pretty important to get this set up. It's also possible that, it's going to irritate you guys the way that I've done this, and that's alright. I do always tell you, let me know what you're actually thinking. I'm not going to yell at you for saying your honest thoughts, even if your thoughts are, hey, you're kind of an idiot. Well, sometimes I deserve that. Who am I to say that you can't tell me that? Okay, yeah, just confirming they can't do that with the ruins. I need to make sure that these slopes are not included. That one looks good, and I know there's another one, or I thought there was another one somewhere. Alright, so I'm going to come down here. Yeah, there's no more overhangs except these, and these are not marked. Everything else should be okay. Okay, now the kind of annoying part is assigning... Yeah, okay, good. That saved itself. See, lowest possible priority is probably fine for now, because that's going to have them divert to everything else. And if I want to have a path that they get to first, then I can at some point take care of that. So why don't we... Oh, is this not going to... There we go. It only lets you do so much at once. I know. We will get there, folks. We will get there. Just trust me on this. All right. So I need to outline this. Make sure that's all set up, good to go. Make sure these are as well. I just really want them to focus on this. And I know they can't get to this until, you know, a path through here is carved, but they will find a way if there is one without it being a huge ordeal. So this area down here can be lowest possible priority. Maybe the area up there can be slightly less lowest possible priority. Ah, okay, so we caught one here. Good, 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 good. That should not be... Oh, it's still prioritized even though it's not. Come on. There we go. All right, so this entire lower thing you just saw is lower priority. This is a higher priority. If they can weasel their way in here, they'll do it. These are all marked up here. I'm going to say... You know, maybe I shouldn't be spending all my time doing this. Well, you guys know I don't mince my thoughts about what's going on with these. I just really don't want to make stupid mistakes. I feel like I've made so many of those in this playthrough already. Okay, let's just get this set as a passive thing for now. And if we want... No, I don't want the Rebel collection to be minimum priority. I would just want this very, very slow and agonizing process. But I do think it will be worth if we just go ahead and commit to that. Alright, so I know we have this area over here that I kind of haven't touched. I feel like for now this is probably fine. This is the more important thing to get to anyway. So now they have access to stuff, even if they can't really reach it, but those have been marked, and boy, is that going to be annoying to look at for a long time. But if I have them actually prioritize this removal when they actually get around to it, then I can have stairs or a ladder down here. Actually, I'm just going to go ahead and put a ladder in this spot right here, because that's going to allow them to get into this area and stay to some degree active with that. Once again, it is somehow always dark. Don't really understand how that happens, but it is what it is. Well, the correct answer to that is because time passes and we have to take care of things. But, well, you know how it goes. This has not been a priority here. This, I guess, is fine to just stick up like that. I'm not going to waste too much time thinking about it. Thank you, autosave. Come back and check on this. They can't get across here because there's no metal blocks, but that metal block problem will be solved at some point before too long. I'm going to have to do, I think, this piece first, because they can get to these, but they can't get to the rest of them. And that needs to be a vertical power shaft. Alright, so I appreciate you guys... Oh, I did it again because I left it in triple speed. That's how this keeps happening. I do appreciate you guys bearing with me with this. It's like drinking through a fire hose, right? You got just so much stuff going on that you have to get done, or else everything's going to fall apart and it's going to be horrible, and then everyone's going to not like your videos anymore. So, now we've got that out of the way. This area is ready to get destroyed. I may just kind of hold on to this for a little bit out of concern for having everything else taken care of. But we do know that is set up. This is still pumping. This can be paused again. Okay, another good comment someone left was to raise the well-being because you get the movement speed and the working bonuses. So why don't we spend just a little bit of time doing that? Some of these things I put off building because we didn't have the science, or I didn't want to spend the resources on it. But there are benefits to having a bunch of this put in place. We just have to figure out what makes sense. Detailers, we don't really have a reliable supply of that stuff. This is not being used because no one is contaminated. I'm just going to pause this so that's not sapping power. Swimming pool, 250 science. We don't really have water that makes sense to put a swimming pool into at this moment in time. Exercise plaza is evergreen, as is the dance pit, but the dance pit, for some reason, is 1,800 science. So, exercise it is. And this doesn't have to be in a super great location, it just has to exist. So, seeing that I don't really have a great way to set this up, I could either move these around and put something here, or I could just say, you know what, it's going to be fine over here, it's close enough to most of the housing, and just let that be something they can get into. We're going to, you know, slowly raise stuff, but the other thing that I wanted to do, since this is quick and easy, the old platform roofing tile thing makes a big difference. Giving it to these guys all night while they're in there sleeping. And that will be a pretty simple thing to take care of. Only adding, what, 4 or 5 of these. Not going to cost a lot, not going to take a long time, and it's going to give a pretty obvious benefit. I already did something kind of like that with the shrub here. Unfortunately, I cannot stack those, but like I said, pretty quick, simple solution. If we had a lot more injured beavers, then I would put a bunch over these medical beds, because they do spend a lot of time in there, but this one will handle those 2. And I can't prioritize these, and I can't pause them, so there's not really any point in changing that around. Let's see. I have a whole list of stuff that people have left in comments on the other screen here. Talked about well-being. Talked about the waterproofing, the geothermal area. Talked about the depth sensor, and that has been built, which is good. I did briefly mention storage for pine resin in this district, so let's take a look at that. I do not have anything but these 2 little things. And I imagine it is probably about time for us to just say, you know what? We got all space over here. We might as well just stick one of these over here. So why don't we just give it a spot? Something there. And then when we get around to having canola seeds turned into oil, those will need somewhere to go. And I imagine I will be using this area power-wise for some of that. So what I'm going to do is put another medium warehouse here, have that set for the canola seeds. Because right now they're just taking up space in these farmhouses, and we can't really do too much with them. We also probably could justify at this point a 3rd farmhouse, like I said I was going to do a long time ago. And we have one here, which makes sense to put one down here or in this general area. I maybe could have chosen a slightly better way to do this, but, you know, it is what it is. You can only do what you can do, and shouldn't feel too bad about it. So why don't we, just kind of stick this in the middle here. I will move this back. Let's do that. That's just because these are going to always be poison dead anyway. This one can handle a lot of the corn. We have this one in the middle of the cassava with some corn. And then I got this guy in the middle that can handle a whole bunch of this, but also has the canola. Kohlrabis aren't really a huge priority, but now that we have more space here that's actually, you know, able to grow stuff, I think it would behoove us to take care of it that way. This is paused. This does not need to be paused. It probably shouldn't ever be paused. I was just trying to get my beavers in a better spot to take care of stuff. But let's reorganize paths here. Thank you, autosave in advance. All right. Let's get that going straight. We can remove this. Can remove this. I mean, this path here actually, honestly, doesn't need to exist. Let's just scrap this for now. We can always put something back. We can, you know, build tubeways or whatever, and we'll talk about tubeways. I mentioned that. I'm going to, and maybe it's not going to be a popular thing, but I will put in some more kohlrabi here just because it's one of those kind of free, quote-unquote, things you don't have to super prioritize, but if they're going to be within range of this one farmhouse here, then I think that makes sense, even if we have all this other stuff, because that's other farmhouses can get to. Okay, further away, I'll just do that. Even if it's not going to be a super, super important thing. Just gives them something to do. Okay, okay, talked about that. We talked about the planted trees. Talked about the science telescopes over there. Talked about turning this pump on, but now it is, in fact, empty, so that can be paused. We maybe could automate that at some point, but I'm not worried about it. Talked about bot chargers. We'll build more of those in a little bit. So, metal. We have a smelter. We do have a supply of scrap metal coming in, but as you might notice, it is currently very low. We have this whole area back here that is accessible and does have metal available, but it's, you know, kind of a mess in terms of convenience. So I'm going to add, since we have so many extra beavers right now, I'm going to add 3 more of these. We're going to deprioritize the workplace. But at some point, they're going to run out of scrap metal in here, and like, to be fair, there's a decent bit in here, but it's not going to be really a long-term viable thing, especially once the, what do you call it, goes off. That's going to make this flooded with bad water. That was why, if you remember, we put this airlock in. So the long-term thing with metal is going to be getting into the mine, which, to be perfectly honest, I do not remember where it is. So we go all the way down. It'll show me. There it is. Yeah. Oh, and it is flooded. It is it's looking pretty rough, folks. So this is needless to say a very long-term dangerous project. Until that time, we are reliant on what is available on the surface or in the caverns or whatever have you. So it's the reason why I haven't really gotten into tubeways, and it does keep coming up, so I want to address it. We can't really afford to build these because we need bots to take care of all of this. I don't know that we need to have a ton of bots, but we do need to replace the ones that are breaking down, which it's about that time for us to do that. Let's just get that in. But we do have access to some metal. It's not super convenient, but we're not really crazy far away. We just have to get to it. But I'd rather focus on things that are going to improve for the bio-beavers versus, let's say, spending... It'd probably be a full-time dedication for 3 straight episodes to get over here if we rushed it. But if we expand organically, and then, you know, gradually make our way over here, then maybe that will make sense at that point in time. We'll get there. We will. You just got to trust me here. And I know we have this down here, but this really isn't that much. This is only a couple hundred. So, while, yes, tubeways are great, they're very efficient, and I would love to have them. If I just built a bunch of tubeways now, then we couldn't do anything else. So we will get there in due time. Talked about the hills, and once again it is dark and we're still in single speed. That's fine. Talked about putting the fluid dump in. I did fix that. Talked about doing this area over here. Talked about the automation for the number cruncher a little bit. I think for now this is probably fine. This is doing what it is. Now, why is this bot out of power and not going to the charging station that has no one in it? Like, that seems like a you problem, my dude. Like, come on, figure it out. This is, okay, 2%. That's fine. Oh, this hurts my eyes to look at. Okay, so that should be one of the next things. This should be one of the next things after that. These power shafts here have been built, but they are not connected to... Okay, because that, I can't see anything over here, man. This is so hard. Okay, so that is connected there. That just has to be built after the fact, and they're working on it. All right. So hopefully we've solved discussion on this for a little bit. I know, God, again, I always come over here when it's dark. Just got to get this going. Got to get these guys doing something. I know we're making a bunch of planks. I do have the... Oh, this hasn't... That's why that hadn't worked. Oh, I really hate to spend 1,000 science on this. Oh, well. We're making more of it, and we do need gears, so it's fine. Just leave that as it is. Alright, we got 6 days left. This is going to dry out in that time. It might, but it's not going to hurt these trees. So that's fine. We're going to let these guys do what they've got to do just to keep this thing operating best we can. I guess that explains why why do we still not have metal over here? That is... Okay, I guess the constructors are just... Oh. There is a bot do... Okay, all right. No. Hold on. Let's think about this. One builder, one in the district crossing, one in the gear workshop, so that's 3. This brings us to 5 with the 2 in the hauling post. This brings us to 7 with the industrial lumber mill, and then I have 1 in a lumberjack flag. Where's my other 2 bots? Are those the ones that are out of power? Yes. Ah. Yeah, and this one's carrying logs to build this stuff because they're way out of there, even though there's a thing right here. They're going to do their job. So it really doesn't matter where these chargers are because they're going to ignore them anyway. So I guess the only real benefit to having chargers placed is if you have a charger close to where the bot finishes their job, then I guess they can go get charged immediately after that. I don't know, man. It seems like it's kind of just not that good of a system, not how I have it set up, and I don't really know how to fix it. If I stop, then everyone's going to die, because that's how this works. It's like that, what's that movie about the unstoppable train or whatever, anyway. What was I going to do with this? See, now I forgot. That's a problem. How far? Okay, so this one's about to go out. The rest of these are looking okay. Control towers would be great to speed up these bots, but I don't have enough science coming in to justify running those at the moment. Remember, this consumes 3 science per hour, and this number cruncher currently is operating at half speed, which means it's making 5 science-ish per hour. This one only runs intermittently, so I could really only have 1 control tower, and the range on these isn't very good. Grease is another thing entirely, and we can't afford that right now. I guess the argument could be made that we can't afford bots, period, which probably true, but it is helping us tremendously. Especially, look at this guy, how slow he is. Especially long-term getting this taken care of, but we're going to leave that alone. What can we focus on improving here? Well, we talked about the exercise plaza. That is happening. This also takes scrap metal, which we're currently trying to turn into stuff that's actually useful. I mean, food and water-wise, we're fine. Like, we only have 68 beavers anyway, so that's not that big of a deal. This has been put in. That is okay. I probably should automate these water pumps. I don't really know what that would end up entailing. Yeah, you know, for right now, I think we are just kind of in a holding pattern to get a bunch of these things taken care of. I would love to have a dirt excavator, but remember, everything costs stuff that we do not have and cannot reasonably make to any degree of expediency. Even if we had this thing turn on, it's 3 hours to make a single one. And yeah, you know, we're not making enough planks. Even though I've got 2 of these, this one I could go ahead and unpause. But the amount of wood that we have coming in right now isn't really enough. Like, these are going to grow. Like, don't get it twisted. We've got plenty of wood when it's, you know, eventually going to get taken care of. But it does eventually have to get taken care of. Somebody left a comment talking about where these power shafts go down and around to get more, what do you call it? Planting area. But to be honest with you, I don't know that there's really that much more plantable space over here with how this is set up. I don't know that I could really make use of this area. One, because it's not irrigated. This is just going to evaporate everything. Yeah, you know, I truthfully don't know that this makes sense for us to do. So, let's get this on triple speed again, because once again, it is always dark somehow. Yeah, I wish I could get in here, and this would be a good thing for bots to do, remember, but the bots are currently upstairs, and they're having the time of their lives attempting to get this taken care of, which they still have not done. Yeah, you know, it's just one of those things. I did talk about eventually putting in an aquifer pump here, but I don't think that's a huge priority. Like, you're out of power. Go charge. It's right here. Oh, okay. It's occupied. Okay, well being up to 16. That's actually going to really help the bio beavers having that in place. Because once again, let me... okay, that's a child. We can't use that one as an example. Beaver, on the path. Give me your stats. Okay, plus 60%. Yeah, at that plus 15. Well being 15. That's a great one. And then 12, and then this one at 17 will get another life expectancy bonus. Yeah, so these things do matter. If it's worth derailing absolutely everything else, I probably couldn't tell you. In some cases, maybe yes, but for the time being, I think we've done about the best we can reasonably do, given the circumstances. I just don't have anywhere to put a pool. I may at some point, but for right now, no. I guess maybe here would make sense. But, probably not. I'm so afraid to use the science that we are currently not really doing much with. Can't get to this because of the thorns. I don't want to get anybody injured because of the thorns. This we kind of solved, quote unquote. This is what happened as a result of that. Oh man, I don't want this to poison all these trees, and this is going to kill some of these trees. This is protecting it a little bit. This we already got rid of. Well, you know, we only have 4 injured beavers, and I do want to make use of this stuff, so maybe what I should do is just mark these for demolition on a very low priority, so they're not all immediately going to come get super injured. And then, you know, we'll do something with this eventually. So this is dry. Right now would not be a bad time to block some of this off to avoid evaporation, but to be perfectly honest with you, I don't think during a drought or a bad tide this is going to stay full long enough for that to matter, because we're pumping out of it constantly. I think the better solution would be to just increase the amount of space that we can actually hold water to be pumped. So for something like this, blasting out a bunch of this would probably help, especially since these are connected. On the other hand, see, I really don't know how to solve the issue of this emptying out really quickly, because if I put a fill valve or I really don't think the throttling valves are that much better than these, but it's fine, we're going to disagree. I really don't think putting another valve down here is really going to help anything except just make water come in here faster, but that's just going to make it also leave here faster. So it's like 6 of one, half dozen of the other kind of thing. They're probably... Yeah. Oh, metal. These stupid things. I hate districts so much. What metal parts go in a warehouse? Sure. Let's have them take care of that. Alright. We haven't made the 11th bot yet, right? Okay. No, they are very, very, very slowly taking care of that. Let's leave that alone. Let's just triple speed this. Like I've been saying, I really don't think it's going to make a tremendously huge difference at this point in time. I will pause this manually until it becomes an issue, because we don't need to be continuously dumping and also having beaver labor doing all that. Yeah, see, I want to have the woodwork shop turned on, but I can't really justify using all those planks to do something that is not making gears, if that makes sense. See, these things that cost metal, or scrap metal, or parts, or whatever, another thing I can't really justify building. The shrubs are fine. Those are already attached to most housing, except this one. Lanterns are another thing that kind of just take up space, but I could put those on a platform above the paths if I were truly, truly desperate. I don't know that that is the case. So, honestly, for now, I think we can just kind of leave this as it is. I know we're at minus 13, minus 14, 18 injured beavers. Oh, that's because these idiots all came over here and decided at the same time to just fall down and scream and cry and throw up about it. So, thank you for that, I suppose. That's aggravating. Well, this is mostly taken care of, I suppose. Alright. Canola. Do I really need to plant more corn? I probably don't. And at some point we can do other stuff with that. Eggplant might be a good thing to start. Just have a small crop of. So I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll just stick these here just to have a small amount. Then we can have a little bit more canola here. Unplant this as corn. So now we have this has a bunch of corn in a close radius. This is going to have, I guess, more corn over here. I can straighten this path out, which honestly doesn't really do that much for us, but That's an improvement, I suppose. I was going to get this straightened out. I wasn't really that worried about it. But, you know, I don't think we're ever going to have enough beavers for it to really matter how many more pumps I'm putting in here. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put in right here 4 double platforms. And I will commit to unlocking the swimming pool. And I will put one here along with another shower. Because I can't remember where the other one... Oh, it's right there. But this will allow the beavers to take advantage of an area that gets filled up with water. That should be okay. Now all these idiots can become uninjured. Once again, it does not hurt to have extra corn. Just maybe shouldn't be a super priority. That can be removed. We don't need corn there. Don't need corn there. Don't need corn there. Don't need corn there. Or there or there. Or here or here. You can kind of segment this. Cassava's actually been gone through pretty hard. We've got 49... Oh, we don't have storage for fermented cassava in a big one. Yeah, see, this is what happens when you just kind of have the chaos gremlin mode activate here and you got not really adequate storage for anything. This is an extra storage for corn rations. This is currently full. I hesitate to put cassava fermented here. But at some point I am going to have storage for it. Well, it's another thing. We just don't have enough wood. We're taking steps to improve it. It's just, you know, I don't have to say it. You already know. You already know what I'm going to say. All right, this finally is put in here, and we do have these as a minimum priority. They can get to some of it. But now the fun part comes of trying to get these hooked up, and I know I've got all these other things over here I've been working on. You just kind of have to, do it one piece at a time. I know it's like the least fun answer ever, but it's, you know, it's true for a reason. It is what it is. This here I have as a platform. Why have they? Okay, they are prioritizing that. That's fine. I guess that's all right. Okay, they are working on that. They're just, you know, being slow about it. Can't get too upset. Yeah, just hate to have to babysit this for so much of a period of time. Because I was going to use this to get the power shafts across once I had this taken care of, and I don't really need to lose sleep over these trees. Yeah, you know, it's just is what it is. This, oh, that doesn't need to be a double, huh? Okay, we'll do a single here. That'll save me 2 planks. I know that's a tremendously huge sum. Very important that we do that. They can probably build most of that without it being a deal. But you know what? I don't trust them, so let them take care of that. Got 1 day left, 1.2 days. 20 injured beavers. Somehow the number has grown. I've got a pretty good idea how it happened, but I will not have enough limbs to make another one past this one that's about to finish, so then I can shut this off. That'll keep us, you know, keep us okay on bots for a little bit of time. All right. So that gets us back to minus 15. Most of that is absorbed, of course, by our builders. And this is about to dry out with 0.9 days left. I guess that's probably going to have to be okay. Not that we can really do too much about it. Because none of these are going to die in 0.9 days anyhow. Just get these cassava numbers up a little bit as these get harvested out. Thank you, autosave. And then I did say I was going to have kohlrabi go here. Once we get more water in, this will be irrigated better. Should be okay. You know, long term, I do feel pretty optimistic about how our farming is looking. It's just not necessarily the most beautiful thing right now. And that, I guess, in its own way is fine. Power production-wise, we're looking fine. I don't think we need to adjust it. We don't have any warnings for things that are about to activate. So, I really want to get this cavern cleared out, and there's not really any way to do anything about it, except just wait. You will note that the bad water is actually flowing out of the cavern into here to go down, I think it's right here, yeah, this water source. And that water that is coming into here from these is, of course, going here. This is kind of irrelevant, but this does fill up somehow from one of these things. Regardless, when the bad tide ends, this will drain out and might take pretty much the entire temperate cycle. If we get another bad tide, then obviously this is going to be like the worst idea ever to send anybody in there. Yep. Not much else we can do except wait, and these are drying out. They're not going to die. They're not little whiny babies. Well, they are, but it's going to be alright. These have been fully automated now to shut off when full, and I don't think they're going to be because of what we talked about here. But honestly, everything else is working out fine. I just wish these injured beavers were not injured so late in that cycle, because now we're not going to have a lot to pump, which is regrettable. Corn, corn, corn. Everywhere corn. This, I said, was going to be eggplant. Gotta make sure I do this correctly. Kohlrabi expansion there. That's fine. These should at some point expand there. We gotta have some oaks coming up here pretty quick. I do want to, wait a minute. I did something... Well, okay, it's not like bad, dangerous bad, but... We spent all that time and effort last episode sealing this up so we can never have any bad water in here ever again. And then I just completely spent the last however many minutes we were talking about this saying, well, I can't do that because we're going to have bad water. Stupid idiot, come on. Well, that's going to make a lot of this so much easier. So yay, 30 days we're going to have more oak trees. Well, what can you do? What can you do? The answer is not that much. At the very least, you know, I do have this at least taken care of now. I can feel kind of okay about that. It does make me feel kind of dumb. But that's, yeah, it's alright. So this is filling up. It has full power, no issues there. And these will, of course, cross-feed, but there's just twice as much coming from here. So just going over there, so that's alright. I think we can leave most of that alone. Again, 17 injured beavers because someone made bad choices. I won't tell you who it is. It was me. This is accessible. They're not getting to it, but that's okay. I really want to make sure I can get these connected without too much weeping or gnashing of teeth. So that can go there. That can go there. And I'm pretty sure at this point now I can justify doing a little bit more. Okay, these can absolutely all get built at the same time with no ill effects. This should be possible to all build at once without anybody getting completely screwed out of anything. Oh, you know, this is going to be ugly, but I'll deal with it. That's fine. I'm not going to wait for them to get rid of that. Yep, just gotta wait. 12 bots. Got this pumping out now at 90%, which I guess is fine. That will backfill. I can get somebody in this forester now that this is actually possible to do something here. This, once again, is a minimum priority, but it can be done. 73 gears, 245 planks. I'm going to, for the benefit of the beavers here, deprioritize maximally the lumber mill. Not turn it off, but we can have these guys be better as builders or something else since we have so many planks up here, and that should not be a big deal. What else were we going to wait on? Probably not much, honestly. Let's take a look at our jobs here in the main district, because I've got so many things that are... Yeah, those are absorbing, that's fine, so we're at a free -12. Pumps are paused for the time being. These ones that are automated are not paused. That's okay. District center is for builders as a core. That's fine. 2 in the district crossing. Yeah, you know, maybe not the most important thing. I've got 1 on this side, 2 on this side. I honestly... Why are there berries on this? They're not farming berries up here. Oh, no, there's reserved warehouse berries. We don't need that. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is we don't need 2 beavers in here. At least not for the time being. And we're trying to get all this stuff taken care of just a little bit better. That guy's doing work. This is all fine. It's not great, but it's fine. Okay, let's expand here, especially my kohlrabi area. We'll have this taken care of like that. That should make this slightly easier. Cassava goes here and there. Once again, this is horrifically inefficient layout, but it's going to be fine. I think, as long as those are 100%, we're looking good. We're on day 1. We have a warning for bad water source. Well, there it is, boys and girls. Not going to be this episode, probably, now that we're almost an hour in, and this is still 10 days away. But this is going to be an interesting thing to see. Now, we are not exactly able to get over here, but I will reiterate that unless this is set to, like, 800 strength or something completely insane, I don't think it's going to be possible for this to be a tremendously horrible thing. However, I do think it is probably time for us to consider getting back in here and blocking this off, because this could flow out here. This is enough space for that to be a viable thing. And we do have space over here this can flow into. This is dormant. That just opens up a hold below. We already talked about that a little bit, filling this up, but that's protected enough. So I guess this is probably a decent bot project for the time being. Just to get up here. And let's just get this set up. It doesn't have to be, you know, a perfect solution. It just has to be a solution. So why don't we selectively remove just these couple things right here. And I'm going to probably just put a couple of dams in here, maybe, depending on what I can actually get them to build. I know we got a bunch of planks. We did talk about that. But having this, not even as a levee on the bottom, would save me a little bit of grief to do that. If I do regular dams, it's 20 logs, and then that'll still allow some stuff to flow through, but we'll keep this mostly flowing that way until this backs up, which I really don't think it will. So for that reason... Oh, this is going to absolutely tilt me. That's going to have to be a priority. Let's actually do this, because I need to make sure this can get done. You know, and maybe this is the wrong way to do it, in which case feel free to yell at me. That's always allowed. But I think for right now, this is probably going to be maybe the easiest way to do it and not cause tremendous suffering. So, you know, we'll let them do that. Well, you know what would be great is if we got a drought and then this activated during a drought, so we didn't have to worry about it with the strength of a bad tide. Because it's definitely, if it's 9 days away, there's no chance it's during a temperate cycle. So we will see what happens. Those are all marked, right? Yeah, that's fine. We want to keep that rolling. We want to get this actually hooked up. I do have to do this piece one at a time with something else. That seems to be doing okay. Get that set up there with no issues. Working on that, and they will in fact just take their time doing that. We don't need to have this. That was not shift backspace, that's why that didn't work. Come back and check on those guys, but they should, in theory, start coming over here, and they are. I know there's no power over here. That's probably an issue that we should take care of at some point. Okay, what other problems are solved by us having a bot working them that are not currently being worked on? Truth be told, I could not tell you. So what we can do is, we have 2400 science. I think it would be wise to start getting dirt. But I have to be careful about where I place a dirt excavator. And I have to be careful about who's running it, because that is a building that has a high chance of injury. And I think dirt would be most useful in our main district, which means it would have to be exported. If I have beavers running this, we're going to have a ton of injured beavers, but honestly, it might not be that bad. And we still have to have 100 treated planks before we can even run this thing, so I'm not unlocking it right now. But what I can do since we do have a decent number of planks, is I can turn this wood workshop on. I will have to turn something else off to try and maximize our power output to our aquifer drills. So why don't we... Nobody's working here. Oh, these aren't even connected anyway. What am I checking that for? These are, you know, kind of important charging stations, and I know I need to keep adding more, but we'll get there. We'll get there, we'll get there. I know I keep saying that, but I can't just, you know, do everything all at once. There's got to be something that holds on. Let's see, I really just want all of these. I really don't want to have these beavers running on wheels, if I can help it. Is this... Okay, 96%. Man, what am I supposed to do with this? I mean, I guess 96 is fine. Because I really do need all this going. Well, tell you what I can shut off is the explosives factory. That probably should not have been on to begin with. And we do have 68. I was kind of hoping to stockpile that. Well, it's alright. And if this is not going to be contaminated, quote-unquote, ever again, then I can actually plant more of these. Oh, I made mention of getting this kind of cleaned up pathwise, so I'm going to unplant these trees. I'm not getting rid of them. I'm going to wait for them to get cut down. But we'll shorten this path when that happens. We will get these set up here. I can save growable space by putting a bridge across here and rerouting this path to go here. But until such a time as that is accomplished, I really just need to focus on getting trees planted in areas where it's not going to disrupt anything. So, that will go there. This guy can reach almost all of it, which is fine. I've got a lumberjack here. I'm going to put another lumberjack over here after this bridge goes in. And I've got this guy here. These trees aren't growing fast enough to really justify having more than a couple beavers. I do know there is an optimal placement involving about 8 or so, but we're not quite there yet. Okay, they are still working on this. Are they out of logs up here, or are they just really slow because it's on the other side of the map? No, we got logs. That's kind of why this was a thing. Regardless of your thoughts on this being a waste of bot labor, we do just absolutely need more wood, and that's one of the ways to do it. Alright, triple speed here. Very interested to see as this fills up how this sets up. Alright, well-being of 17, looking okay. Just gotta hold out, just gotta wait. You know how it goes. 1,500 corn rations. Yeah, see, we just don't have enough cassava being pulled out. I think the beavers are just eating it really fast because they should have... Yeah, they almost all have cassava, just one who does not. Did we talk about mangrove fruits? Like, I feel like I could plant some over here if I were truly desperate, but it's probably not worth it. At least not right now. Slowly building the stock of treated planks. I can't remember if I've got some hidden away somewhere that I can't get to. I know I've got 8 there. No, there's so many over here we're not going to be able to get into for a while, so I guess we can leave that alone. I really want to see this start spilling over here, because it's only day 3 and this is already going so much better. Probably also due to me only running 4 beavers pumping right now. Oh, we have 3,400 water. We're fine. We are totally fine. It would probably not be a bad idea to elevate some of these power shafts so we can utilize more of this space, or reroute them slightly, but again, I think for now things are looking okay. And we know we have to go over here for this. They are working on it. How close are we to the next bot going away? It's at 26%. Okay. So we got a while before we need to make another bot. I think we can just leave this paused for some stretch of time. I want to focus on getting these guys everything they can actually do. Okay, so we're now at an equilibrium on the beaver labor, which means I can start, because they don't really have any construction projects going. I'm going to start pumping. We'll just get these guys in. Might as well get that one going as well. -10 is a good spot for us to be in, because that's going to enable us to still run most of our stuff. I don't really have a crazy. Okay, I guess I've got, 2,700 storage is actually a decent bit. All right. So I lied. We're just going to turn all these pumps on. It's fine. These pumps don't have a big storage available. I know I have the large power wheel here. The beard wheel. Got to use the correct terms. But that does not necessarily have to be something that stays there. And now that we have so much extra power, I think I'll just get rid of it. And instead, since this is a very convenient location for this, I will put in a large tank. Now this is a good way to spend 30 metal, because this is actually going to make a huge impact on longevity of our beavers. Because, we're about at the point now where we can have 29-day droughts. And if we want to grow a population at all to do more than this, we're going to need it. So I think that is fine. How's the cavern here looking? Yeah, I can't really go too much faster than this. Just need these guys to be able to get to stuff. We got planks over here. We can actually go ahead and snipe. Let's do that. Make sure we can get these paths further in as time goes by. This is a little bit too far now for me to feel really great about using that. So let's move that up here. Slowly. I mean, these are free to build, so there's not really any reason not to do it. Alright. Everything over here looking okay. Okay, so this is flooding. This is something I wanted to kind of automate. Do I have the stuff to just make this not a pain in the butt? Scrap metal in this district. Pain in the butt. Alright. Manually pause it is. I will go back at some point and, actually add that, but I do want to, minimize my personal annoyance if at all possible. We can do both of these at the same time. I don't have to have this in this spot. I could put it here, but it's going to be the same amount of stuff either way, so this will make it just a tiny bit faster to build. That seems like it's okay. Getting this connected here is going to really help these even out nicely. We already talked about this stuff. We should. Yeah, see, they haven't even really started doing this because, well, I told them not to, but that's fine, I guess. Getting these power shafts over here. It's just... I don't know. Maybe there's just something, fundamentally broken in my brain, but I just really don't see how this saves any amount of time whatsoever. Unless it's relating to, only removing one set of thorns at a time. But, unfortunately, I am duty-bound to try to make this as not completely horrible as possible, so we will get it figured out. This plank storage I said I was going to put somewhere else. But this is, I guess, kind of useful for building some of this stuff, but now we don't need this anymore, so let's instead... Plank storage there. I can just get moved. It's going to be alright. But the reason I say all this is I just need to be able to build this with minimal... I've really got to stop using the phrasing minimal weeping and gnashing of teeth, but that's just what it is. So this is a vertical power shaft that I probably should not have made a vertical power shaft. But it is what it is. I always forget if these can actually connect side by side. They can, because this is not masochist mode. AKA water beavers. Let's add that to be removed there. I'm just going to build this side by side, because why should I spend another 10 minutes trying to get that done when we can do literally anything else? Alright. That is... Where am I? Okay. They are working on this. It will take some amount of time. I'm pretty sure they can do this because of ledge logging mod or whatever. So this will really help us out, especially when this turns on. Yeah, this seems to be doing pretty well. When this gets full enough, this will spill over. Right now it is 1.85, and this goes at 1.95. We've got these guys doing this. That's fine. We are pumping. We are building. We are slowly making progress here. This is not flooding. This is doing okay. Yeah, I feel like I need to sit here and watch this, though. Because I know that's going to be a That's going to be a thing. Well, yeah, we still got a little bit of time to record this one. Not a ton. Not a ton. I got other stuff I need to really get going here. I just mainly want to make sure that when I block this off, it's not going to cause crazy problems with flow over here. So we also have this. And now that we can get across, theoretically, over here, I could just permanently defeat this by blocking these off. Would not be very hard. I would just have to have 3 levees, and then neither of these are going to cause any problems ever again. Not that they're really contributing that much flow-wise. It's probably, I don't know, they might not even be 1 strength each. They could be like half or something. Be alright. This is connected all the way to here. Alright, well, that gives me an opportunity to put that piece in. And otherwise, these are all connected. We're very close. And it is a drought, mercifully. It's going to give us an opportunity to get the beavers into the cavern to seal these off, and then by proxy seal this off so nothing can back up into it. And then we can finally get the rest of these oaks, and I don't know, maybe do something in here. Not that we really need to. That seems to be doing okay. What else are we... Oh, good. It's overflowing here, so we can just have a little bit more water to sit here and do nothing. Maybe pump it later, or have some sort of extra irrigation happen. I feel like I'm missing something. Like, I know there's always a billion things to do, because that's how this works, right? But like, I feel like I've fundamentally missed something that I should have been doing today, and it's going to irritate the snot out of me until I figure this out at like 4 in the morning. Alright, I'm going to say I don't need to worry about losing this, because we can always just build over it. That will be fine. This has not been emptied nearly fast enough for my preference, but it is what it is. This storage is not even full. Well, I guess the haulers have other stuff to do, but I think if I could get this connected by the end of this episode, that would be a smart thing to do. But I do unfortunately have to be able to get over here. Well, I'll tell you what, we can reroute this. It's not the most efficient path, but it is a path that will work. I just have to make sure I don't get these bots stuck in here. Okay, so this is waiting on that to be removed. Let's super prioritize that just so we can get it done. That is going to be fine there. We got bots out of power. It's going to get a lot better when we have the ability to actually have everything connected to power. I got that one there. Got that one there. Maybe the main issue is there isn't one here. But like pretty much like every major area of this that we're working on does have access to one of these. With the exception of all the way over here. Alright, so that's being removed like I asked them to do. And as soon as that's in place, I'm going to put in, probably not even a levee, I'll just put a regular, or not a levee, a dam, I'll just put a regular levee in. And then we'll see, hopefully they can get that done, because I want to see like at full strength flowing, which I know starts slowing down about one day left before the drought coming in. So much to do, so little time. That is the eternal motto of every single facet of this game. Okay, 3 days until that goes off. That is, at this point, probably going to have to be next episode. Would be a good excuse for us to do that anyhow. Okay, that's working. This is about to be hooked up. Now, if this one can be finished in time for us to actually see the effects, that would be fantastic. So it is going to be slightly lower, lower strength, but it does seem like this is fine. Remember, this is on a flow restriction, so it's going to be the same no matter what. This is no longer filling this up. Water levels don't even seem to be raising at all, from what I can see. Wait, lowering doesn't make any sense. It should not be going down. Because it's the same amount of... Okay, well, whatever. Yeah, you know, I think this is fine. I think we are in a decent enough position so that this can be the only thing that is wreaking havoc on this area, and it cannot get up here. Oh boy! Alright, I need to make sure, because it has just taken way too long, I need to make sure this is actually hooked up so that we can be fully connected, every single one of these, before I say goodbye on this. Look at these guys taking care of it from the thing up here. That is actually Probably a lot more important to do that way. Where is this other piece? Did they already do it? No. Alright, so I got that one. Then I got this other one. We're about to have a drought. I've got all these things pumping. And this is actually... Yeah, this was full enough to fill this all the way. Fill this all the way. Fill this all the way. And now this is alternating like it's, you know, hazard flashers at a grade crossing. Alright, cool. We planted a bunch of trees. We've got some that are ready to be cut to improve our pathing. You know, all in all, I think we can consider this to be a pretty successful episode. I know it's, you know, not the hour and a half, hour 45, 2-hour episodes I didn't technically promise anybody, but did kind of promote as the whole we're moving this to 2 episodes a week kind of thing. But this is a good spot to stop, and I do still think we got a lot of good stuff accomplished. Getting power unified, getting the setup for the, you know, automatic thorn removal is a good thing, even if it's going to take them a long time. And doing a little bit more reinforcement against this crazy, powerful, allegedly bad water source thing over there. So, I appreciate you guys supporting the channel. I appreciate all of your suggestions. Again, I can't implement everybody's, and sometimes I'm going to do stuff that goes directly against what you may be specifically asking me to do. But, you know, I have to pick something. It doesn't mean I don't appreciate what you're saying. I got to pick something. So, Beard Boosters support the channel, subsidize things so I don't have to, you know, try to game the algorithm quite so much, and I can say, hey, you know what, I need time outside of this to take care of other important things, and I'm gonna take this series down to 2 days a week. And, you know, you guys have been receptive, and I appreciate that. But those folks definitely make that a lot easier of a decision to make. I'm always going to appreciate that support. So whatever it is you're doing with the rest of your day, stay safe, have fun, and we'll see you back in this series on Tuesday. And I guess we're going to find out what that bad water source does. Take care. Bye-bye.